My name is Linda Mitchell, and the name of my original speech is History is a Bridge to Hope. The problems man faces in the world today can seem overwhelming. Every day on the news, we hear concerns about the economy, immigration, terrorism, and the environment. We face natural disasters, wars, rumors of wars, and social problems galore. The earth is indeed filled with people who are sick, disenfranchised, poor, confused, and discarded. It's absolutely maddening. The question is there any hope that these problems of mankind will ever be solved? Are we doomed, as some people believe, to be setting ourselves up on a path of self-destruction? I believe if we search the annals of history, we can find reasons to hope for the future. By examining our past, we can see how, over the centuries, man has tackled tremendous problems and come up with solutions. I believe that world history can be a bridge to hope. For instance, a few years ago, we dealt with the difficult problem of trying to stop an oil spill along the Gulf Coast. It seemed like an impossible task. But then I remembered the Exxon Valdez oil spill of several years prior and how that oil spill was cleaned up. I became hopeful because I knew that because of past success, eventually we would come up with a solution to stop this oil spill too. And we did. Throughout history, almost every continent has been struck in one way or another by both man-made and natural disasters. Earthquakes, hurricanes, floods, raging fires, terrorism, and nuclear mishaps have wreaked havoc on our communities. Yet, New Orleans, Chicago, London, Hiroshima, and other cities remain. And the Statue of Liberty still beckons in the harbor of New York City. In the aftermath of disasters, mankind has overcome, rebuilt, regrouped, resettled, recharged, retooled, and we've remembered. Our history is a bridge to hope that we are survivors. The social and political problems we deal with today and trying to live together as diverse people are certainly complex, but they are nothing new. As you know, the Civil War in our country almost brought us to the brink of collapse. Slavery and the post-slavery period of sanctioned discrimination was one of the worst scourges of our past. Not only that, in the 1880s, we began to restrict the immigration of Eastern Europeans to this country. And on American soil in 1942, the Japanese were put in concentration camps. Today, I believe we are still dealing with the repercussions of many of these experiences. However, I don't mention them to make us feel bad or guilty, but to show how our history can teach us to hope. Because as you know, the tide did eventually turn. Attitudes did change. In the same way today in the United States, though we are not fighting a civil war, we are fighting a war of ideologies in our disparate political views. Strife and division over issues of wealth, immigration, economic policies, healthcare, and so on are rampant. But again, mankind has been here before. For eons, man has fought over money, trade routes, land boundaries, and religion. People and their lands have been explored, conquered, and colonized in order that man may amass wealth and power. As we observe the struggles for economic and political freedom around the world today, we are reminded again that unjust political systems and powerful kingdoms do not last forever. Rome did fall. The Mongolian Empire disappeared. The Zhou dynasty, which ruled China for centuries, is no longer in power. The Cahokia civilization, right here in the St. Louis area, is a relic of the past. Apartheid is dead, and the Berlin Wall was demolished. Therefore, we can hope that many people today who struggle to break the stronghold of tyranny will someday experience the refreshing breeze of freedom. In many periods throughout history, we see courageous leaders such as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Winston Churchill, Joan of Arc, and countless others emerge in every generation. Some are noble and some are ignoble. But the fact remains that as long as man is alive, we can hope that leaders will be born and made who enlighten, mobilize, and set us on a righteous path. Mankind has always had to wrestle with uncertainty and discord, just as we do today. For example, here in the U.S., we suffered through the Great Depression. Lack of money and unemployment were on the minds of everyone. But in time, there came an end to the difficulty, and our economy bounced back. We should have hope during these trying times that we face today, because history shows us that trouble does not last always. Looking to our past, we can see how mankind has come up with many ideas to solve our complex problems. Man has shown creativity and industry ever since the ancient invention of the wheel. He has learned to cultivate the land, reverse the flows of rivers, and engineer bridges and dams. From teepees to igloos to skyscrapers, mankind has figured out how to provide shelter for himself and his property. And from Hippocrates to Dr. Jonas Salk to Christian Barnard, we have found cures for our diseases. Is there any reason to believe we won't eventually find a cure for cancer? Will we no longer come up with ideas to save our environment and educate our children? Hope should abound if we remember what we have accomplished in the past. And that includes remembering our technological inventions, which have been nothing short of marvelous. From the abacus to the computer, our creativity and knowledge keep expanding to meet the needs of mankind. From a smoke signal to a tweet, we have devised ingenious ways to communicate with each other. Will man's ingenuity ever cease? I don't believe we will ever lose our creativity. In fact, it is because of our problems that we get our creative juices flowing. We can even look at our own personal histories and find hope. That's what I do by keeping a journal. When I feel hopeless about my future, I can read my journals and remember how problems I had in the past were solved. And therefore, I know the problems I have today will also be solved. Ladies and gentlemen, hope is powerful. Hope can sustain us. Our hope for the future can be forged in the crucible of our past. If we study history, we will realize that wars do not last forever. Enemies become allies. Injustices are rectified. Barbarism is replaced by humanitarianism. And weak economies can once again soar. Without a doubt, leaders will emerge to help us sort through the morass of mankind's messes. Therefore, we can all express some sliver of hope. mankind has made it through many challenging times. And even while looking at our past from a purely secular perspective, I believe history is our bridge to hope.